Mhm. You're listening to Arizona Good Business Radio, featuring unique stories with leaders who believe the community is a central part of doing business. Join us on the journeys of entrepreneurs, local businesses, and champions of Arizona who believe working together, we can build stronger communities.
Hey everyone, Thomas Barr here, Vice President of Business Development at Local First Arizona. Very fancy way of saying we help lots of people. We're a statewide organization advocating for and celebrating locally owned businesses, and we're the largest local business coalition in North America. Wow. Providing resources to thousands of small businesses while raising awareness of the benefits of building a strong local economy, which I like to think Arizona has. Joined here today with friend and longtime partner, Local First Arizona, going way back to the days where before Local First existed.
Yeah.
David DeLorenzo, welcome to the show.
Hi, Vice President. How are you?
I'm doing all right. This is your first podcast ever, isn't it?
Yes.
You've never done these.
Yes.
Ever.
This is so new to me. I hope we can flow well.
I hope it can go right. Dave has been connected to Local First, like I said before, its inception, knowing our founder since
I was 18.
You're
I'm
18.
now 50.
Did you wander into stinkweeds?
Yes.
Was it? Okay.
I was hanging up posters for a company I had back then called Diamond in the Rough. Prior to that, it was for Warner Brother Records when I was going to ASU.
Okay.
Yeah.
How'd you get into that?
Internship.
Hmm.
So if you have a dream and it is put in front of you, just raise your hand. It can come true.
That's
and it
cool.
did. Yeah. I got to
Hopefully
work with a
somebody
lot of
sees
cool
it.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the coolest person?
Eddie Van Halen by far. Because
Wow.
I mean, that was just somebody, when I was a kid, I would imagine meeting in person, and I did.
Yeah.
I worked his album. I mean, it was phenomenal.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So it was like you worked his shows, or how did you get connected to him? That's crazy.
Yeah. So went to school at ASU, Department of Business. They had a availability for an internship for the distribution company that distributed Warner Records, Atlantic Records, and Elektra. So it was called WEA, WEA.
Okay.
And I got the Warner division, and Van Halen was on Warner Brothers pretty much their whole music career. So when that had happened, I did that for a good 2.5 years of internship, and I worked with so many cool bands, like names people probably never heard of, but names that they have heard of, like Alanis Morissette, Candlebox, Prodigy. And then Van Halen came through, and they had a new record that came out, and that was my responsibility to get that played on the radio with another gentleman that was actually part of the promotion company, and then mainly to get their material in record stores.
Mhm.
So Stinkweeds is one of those record stores. Was it Apache or University or
Dorsey?
Yeah, it's kind of that
Come
in between
on.
street. I don't remember.
No,
it was near
Apache.
Pita Jungle,
It was
wasn't
Apache and Dorsey.
Yeah.
So you had Apache, right?
Yeah. So yeah, and then Larry Mack, who is new to radio as well, he was my business partner with Diamond in the Rough. Being sarcastic, Larry's been a longtime host and DJ, for everything from KUKQ to KUPD.
Mhm.
So him and I went into business with Diamond in the Rough, and he knew Kimber. And yeah, I mean, it's just kind of one of these things. We've all just been around for a long time.
Yeah. Well, you're probably one of the first people I met when I joined Local First 10-ish years ago.
Is that all it's been? 10 years?
I mean, it seems like a longer time to me too.
Yeah.
But yeah, 10 years, which people nowadays are like, wow, that's a long time. I guess people don't stay places that long anymore. You know
Well,
what I
I
mean?
guess when you're young, which I'm sure a lot of people getting into conscious business or whatever, when you're young, 10 years is a long time.
Mm.
When you're 50, 10 years is a blink.
Mm.
I think it's a different perspective from whatever
Totally.
mode of life that you're in.
There's a lot of dialogue right now among how to move up in your career type, videos I've seen and stuff, where there's a dialogue happening that is trying to convince younger people that if you stay somewhere more than 2 years, you are like beating your career up. Like trying to incentivize and motivate people to actually jump and move around because you're not getting enough experience. But I don't like that perspective that much, because I think that that's the majority. And right now, if you find somewhere good and you stick with it, or something, right? It doesn't have to be somewhere, but something, and you stick with it, you build stronger impact over the long term, right?
I think it's just finding whatever you're passionate about. And maybe those passions change as you get older. I know mine have. But I don't think there's a right answer for anybody. I think everybody's just got to kind of figure it out. I think some people find security in being in the same place as long as that place is treating them, correctly and
Yeah.
giving them the added value that is deserved to that person for performing a certain task within that organization, and then being able to move up, be comfortable, take care of themselves, eventually their family, that sort of thing. I think a lot of people love that security. Yeah, I mean, we have a newer generation. My kid, is 22. He's graduating from U of A. He's going to agriculture school, and, as a father, my dream is to be like, hey, dude, why don't you go and, get dirty, work in a farm, do that sort of stuff. And albeit he wants to do that, but that wouldn't be something that he would want to do forever. It would be for him to have a good experience doing that.
Sure.
And then a month later, he tells me he wants to go grow weed. Okay, cool. Whatever, whatever strikes your fancy, right?
He'll figure it out.
Yeah,
He'll figure it out.
Exactly.
Well, fast forward to today. For years, you've been running bar and restaurant insurance, Ambassador Group Insurance, handed down from your dad, which I know has been super meaningful and important to you, and have so many conversations with you about how that's transformed into what your passion really is, which is, I think, people within hospitality. At least that's my perspective. Do you share the same perspective, or is it a little different?
Well, just, brief history. I get done with Warner Brothers. I go to ASU. I graduate. I get a marketing degree. I've always been a marketing person. Once the record industry took a nosedive and they weren't selling records anymore, I had to pivot and figure out what to do. So being very close to family and I love my dad and still to this moment, enjoy doing that. Having that relationship with him, I'm blessed to have it. I just got into insurance, and it wasn't anything that I was precisely that passionate about or excited about. I was just kind of like, well, he's successful, and I see that he likes people. To me, I didn't see it as like a career, like, oh, this is going to be, a paperwork sort of business. I saw him talking to people and getting excited about making deals, and helping people, authentically helping people. And people love my dad. They just love him. So that was kind of the antithesis for me to get into that business, get my license. First 3 years amounted to nothing. I if I didn't have my parents, I'd probably be sleeping, on the floor at some, community center, because I made no money, and that was okay, because I was still finding myself. I was young. I just got out of the music business. I just got out of like rubbing elbows with Eddie Van Halen and Snoop Dogg, and now I'm selling insurance. It's like, whoa, couldn't write a better script. So I formed the commercial division of what my dad primarily did home and auto insurance, which, today has been, bots and online stuff and Geico's of the world. So now I, went in and I said, what am I, again, comes back to passion. What am I passionate about? So it's hospitality, bars and restaurants, entertainment, all that sort of stuff. So I went in and I created bar and restaurant insurance.com and created that division. That division ended up outgrowing anything that my dad had ever done, because it's just bigger, bigger tickets, bigger exposures, bigger, premiums, that sort of thing. But it took me a decade to even get to a place where I was comfortable and I was okay with, like, living that lifestyle. So as I got into doing that, again, it wasn't insurance for me. It was the people around hospitality. It was bar and restaurant. Julian Wright, who we, some people listening to this may know very well. I mean, for me, it started with the Library Bar and Grill on Mill Avenue. That was one of my first biggest locations, and Julian was the owner, and him and I became friends. And I mean, he's opening up another place on Mill next week. I mean, that's
taking over the old Rulabula, right?
Yeah, the old Rulabula. But through through all that span of time, I end up befriending these owners like Julian. I ended up owning like 9 restaurants, bars with him over time to get that experience, to understand, the true aspect of the business and how it runs, so that I could adequately protect the business, i.e. insurance. And I lived in the debauchery. I lived in the debauchery of, of drinking too much, of staying up late, of eating like crap, of doing all these things. And maybe that was just not maybe that was the season of life that I was in. Those were the choices that I made. Zero regrets for it, but I was inflamed. I felt, pretty much sick all the time. I would make it to quote unquote work, even though it was my own work, every other day at full potential. And I remember all that stuff. I journaled all that stuff. I actually have a journal of me working out during this period, trying to get healthy. And then I would be, in the morning, my wife laughs at this. She brings it up quite a bit. I'd be like protein shake, 6 a.m., chicken breast for lunch. And then the nighttime would come and it would be like, okay, 6 Jack and Cokes, 12 Coronas, and had Jack in a box. It was like, it was just funny to watch all this and see it. So knowing that I wasn't special, a lot of people in hospitality, that is really the life that they live because it's just such a chaotic life. And it's not just the physical abuse, but it's the mental abuse that goes on, in your head as well, and a lot of the culture, I think, it obviously depends on the place, depends on the owner, but a lot of the culture is very just old school, kind of off the cuff, getaway, disrespectful sort of thing.
Doesn't foster good
it doesn't foster
environments,
good environment, good behavior, or honestly, good people. But when you look at hospitality and you look at the people that are involved with it, they are good people. They're the people that we come to that are serving us, that are, that are there to make us feel welcome. We're spending our hard-earned money to go to a place, to feel welcome, to get good food, to, have this, correspondence with somebody that is serving us. And albeit, their job is to, this is my assumption. If you're going to go in and pay for a service, you want somebody to make you feel good and do a good job at it. But at the same time, customers, what I'm learning now as well is that we've taken all of this stuff for granted. Like everybody goes out to eat now. There's a fraction of people that stay home. You talk to Steve Chukri at the Restaurant Association, and he can very much boast about how much the restaurant industry has gone up, which I think is great. I think these restaurateurs and these chefs and these owners, to have a platform and a place to deliver their art, i.e. in the concept of food, in the concept of concept and the concept of, just passion and community, I think is great. But I think the patron has really taken it for granted almost, to where their expectations almost exceed what is actually deliverable. And if it is deliverable, why isn't it being delivered? And is it because maybe, I don't know, these people are overworked, maybe prices have gone up a little bit too much. Maybe they can't find anybody to work. I mean, you got to have grace when you go into these places. You really do. And I don't go out to eat a lot anymore because I just live a different lifestyle. But when I do, I know that I have to be very cognizant that there might be 5 less people working today than there should be because of the reasons I just, had mentioned. And you just got to be cool about it.
And you've no idea what those people are going through. Like that's just, you're just talking about the work environment. Like what's happening at home, what's happening behind the scenes, what's impacting how people working in this industry show up every day. Right. And so I think you're absolutely right. Showing up with a little bit of grace for those that are actually serving you, the food that you're going to put in your mouth. So what is that transformed into? Now, it's outside of insurance now. It's, you have the healing hospitality arm, which is doing some really cool stuff. Would love people to hear about that.
Yeah. So healing hospitality is an idea that I had come up with just in my sleep, and I just kind of woke up and I was like, I'm really into health and wellness. I think everybody else should be too, whether they are or not. I didn't really care. I was going to do this. So, over the last year and a half, 2 years, I've put together some really cool events. And selfishly, these events were for me to basically invite my friends, because all my friends are pretty much in the hospitality community of doing this for 25 years, and to be able to lend a hand and lend a platform for them to be able to just come, take an hour out of their day, 2 hours, whatever it is, and not worry about anything. If you look at managers, if you look at owners, if you look at all the different things, just a business owner in general that they have to deal with, a lot of times they're just overly stressed about things. And so I wanted to create something that was healing for them, that they could come to and just get away. And so some of the events that we've done so far, we did a cold plunge. I had 30 people show up. Everybody did it. I was really surprised, after they signed the waiver. Before that, there was some Wim Hof breathing. So everybody laid down. They did, nose breathing out, in the nose, out the mouth for repetitions while listening to the drums and having, incense, around them. And you just go to a different level. People love that. We did Qigong in the park. Qigong is just, flow and body movement. That was out at Solari, which is in Old Town Scottsdale, out in the park, out in the sun or whatever. We did yoga nidra, where you basically just lay there and take a nap, and meditate, what else have we done?
Nap time for restaurant
Yeah,
workers.
we did arts and crafts. We went to Crescente. Is it Crescente? Yeah, Crescente. Yes. Yeah. In Paradise Valley. And we made tile, and stuff like that, and got to tour the bells. So healing hospitality is not necessarily about like, oh, I got to biohack myself and become, the next whatever, Peter Attia, or what are these people that follow biohacking know these people as, or Andrew Huberman. No, it's about you just being yourself and finding, finding another method or a practice to help your overall consciousness, both in the physical and the mental reality, to feel healthier, feel better, to build community, to build a healthy community around an otherwise very, let's just say party community. And that's really my goal with it, is just to start building this community. And you just build it brick by brick. And when people find out that there's this other community inside of hospitality that's healthy and healing, and they start to take part in that, and they start to feel good, and they start to change their daily habits, then they come to work better, then they run their business better, then I know this. I'm proven fact of that just happens. There's no wrong in treating yourself better and doing things that are better. Now, those might be different for somebody. I used to run a lot. You run. I quit running I quit running about 3 years ago. I'd run my whole life. I was done with it. You know what I do now? I walk. I love walking. I seriously have turned into my grandfather. I go for my walk. I get but that is what gives me that sense of completion and that relief and that energy that I need every day to be the best boss, to be the best friend, to be the best husband, all those things. And that's what, that's the antithesis of healing hospitality, is to take the things that I've learned through my daily habits, throw out a bunch of resources for people, and let them come as they please.
Yeah. The New York Times did a study and said that walking is better than running.
It is.
So yeah. Less harm to your body long term.
100%. Yeah. Less inflammation, less stress. I can go down a whole rabbit hole. But look, running, back when I drank a lot and quote unquote, I will self-diagnose myself as having an alcohol problem, because it was just alcohol and it just became a problem. Really, that was it. I just, up and quit one day 10 years ago. I was like, okay, I'm done. And that was it. That's just kind of my personality. Everybody has different personalities and where they're at in life and this and that. And I just thought at 40, that was a good time. I'm like, okay, cool. New decade. Let's figure this out.
Yeah.
So, it's just like anything else. You get, you start to really analyze what is right for you as a human, as an individual, what you enjoy to do, what you can fit in your day. We're all different. We all have, things that we got to deal with, both mentally and physically. And, the thing is again, there's a lot of things that people don't know, including myself. Like, clueless. And so it's so much fun to study and uncover other things that I enjoy that I'm able to share with people. And now that I have a platform, I have a whole social media team. I have, a successful business with 400, bar restaurant clients. I have a technology company that's about to launch and be in, 13,000, insureds across the nation. And possibly by year 2, 360,000 employees' hands. These are platforms that need to be utilized for good. And Healing Hospitality, along with my tech app, Sinatra, is going to be an integral part of that. We're going to soak that into Sinatra and have it almost be like a LinkedIn/Facebook exclusively for the hospitality community to be able to grab resources and tools, whether that's a downloadable stretching workout, whether that's a sleep app or a meditation app, or, all these things that we'll partner with other people on that will be able to either donate or, we can pay for these services for people in hospitality to have access to.
Love it.
Yeah.
Super cool. Where do you come up with this stuff?
I don't know. I mean, I have a lot of great people around me, but this has all been stuff that's been building in my mind for the last 20 years. And nothing, how do I say this? Things that don't happen fast end up happening really fast. If you can make sense of that. It's just, we're in the moment. We're always in the moment. Whatever the past was is really the moment that we're in now, because we have created to get to where we're at now, to create some more, to get to where we're going to be at in the future. And that's the thing. And so I don't look at time. I don't look at age. I don't look at any of that. We're here, So it's like, how much can I do today with those around me that want to be a part of it? And the thing is like, this isn't something that is a, it's not a campaign. It's not a political rally. It's not a band looking for fans. None of that matters. This is just a platform for people that if they feel, how do I say, energetic to it and they want to come into it, it's welcoming for them and it's for everybody. And that's what's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super cool.
And it's free.
Love it. Love it. Well, part of why we do this show is because we love bringing people in that are focused on, we call it doing good business, but really it's everything within that, which is treating people well, thinking about your community as you do business. What is your, in how you operate, how are you truly impacting others and those around you and your environment and all that sort of thing. So would love your perspective on how you do that. Is it just natural? Do you consciously think like, how can I be a better owner of a business? Is this the right move for me or my company to have a good impact on those around me? Is that a thought process for you?
Yeah. Okay. It's a really good question. I should have brought some water in. I'm dying right now.
We'll get you some.
Thank you. I apologize. That's a great question. I forget I talk a lot on these things. So here's where I want to go with that. Number one, when I look at my business and I look at the people that are a part of my business and what they do, I am of the sheer understanding. And it took a while to get here, because when we're young and we're fiery and we're doing all these things, we're like, I got to close this deal. I got to do that. Like, you're stressing out about money, about, winning. And here's the thing. I've finally gotten to a point now where the people that are investing in me, i.e., my employees, my team, my community at work, whatever you want to call it, they are so important to the ability of that allows me to do the things that I do. So in order for me to have that portion of my lifeline to work, they have to be treated with respect. They have to be given resources. They have to be left alone to do their job. I mean, I have some employees that I may not see for months at a time. They have to. We now live in an age, and I think this was even happening. We'll say the C word. I think this was happening pre to the. You say
the P word, pandemic.
The P word, yeah. I think that was happening, prior, but you got to allow in my opinion, when you allow the freedom and the context for people to do their jobs from a space that they enjoy and an environment. Thank you so much. Or are these wine glasses?
Yeah, it's Ray.
Yeah.
Ray from Refresh Glass.
I saw him at Devour. Such a nice guy.
Yeah.
So to give them those tools and that aspect and treat them that way. And I mean, for me, selfish example for everybody listening, I pay 100% benefits, and that's everything: dental, vision, health insurance, all that. I matching 401k. I do a lot of, like, let's just say, extra bonuses for performance stuff. And we define that, and we do that. PTO, I don't even know what that is. It's like, dude, if you got to go and pick up your kid, what am I going to do? I think micromanaging can absolutely be a huge burden on anybody that owns a business. And if you have to micromanage people, then why do you have them there to begin with? That sort of thing.
Yeah.
And this isn't a brag or a chest pump. It's just how I operate and what allows me to do things like healing hospitality, what allows me to do things like my own podcast, the things that I love to do that create passion, that in turn create business. And then it allows the business to run the business on its own.
Yeah.
But Barr Restaurant Insurance is not about the D-Lo, not about me. Yeah, maybe I'm the face of it and I'm good at marketing it and people want to talk to me and be a part of it. But at the end of the day, without the background people that people get to know, it's nothing. I would be running in circles and I wouldn't be able to do all this other really cool stuff.
Sure. So what you just shared is, I guess from my perspective, why the work we do at Local First Arizona is centered on empowering local businesses to think that way. I've seen a lot recently regarding these you hear about these massive layoffs from these corporations. And I hear people discussing with each other now and then regarding, if, there's an economic downturn, wouldn't you want to feel more secure working for a large company that has, more assets and security and this and that? And in my mind, it's completely opposite. I say, wouldn't you actually want to work for a locally owned business who you can actually get to know the owner, and then in turn they care about you, and so when times get rough, they're going to make sure that you're all right rather than you hear about 10,000 people from a large tech company like gone in 24 hours, sort of a thing. So your approach to how you treat your employees, your staff, like that, is a great example of why local matters so much.
Well, I think if you're a local business, turnover can be the death of your business. People in and out because you got to micromanage, you got to do this. You're just, in my opinion, hiring the wrong people. And not that they're bad people, they're just wrong for what it is that you need, or maybe you're wrong for them. Again, there's no right or wrong answers in any of this. And I read something pretty cool today in my morning readings. And it was about basically what you get in life is what you focus on. And when we talk about, you use the word, economic downturn, you use it, and I can go back to journaling, and I can go back to things where it was like just in, 2023, which was last year, believe it or not, the beginning of last year, it's like 2024, it's going to be the scorched earth, the death of everybody. Right now, honestly, based on what I was reading back then, you and I sitting in here today shouldn't be happening. We should be dead and broke. Meanwhile, the stock market, for whoever follows that, higher than it's ever been.
Yeah.
Bitcoin's still around, higher than it's ever been. I mean, just all these things. So people they take so much time to worry about what could happen instead of just being in the moment of what is happening.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes when people run their business that way, running it through fear, which again, totally cool, and I've done it for many years. I ran my business based on fear. It didn't allow me to do all these other cool things that I'm doing now because I was so fearful that I didn't trust the people that I had brought in to do the things that I needed them to do. I always had to have my hand on it. Now, and I've got tenure of people in there that have been there at a minimum 10 years, and I've got 12 employees. So we're talking 10 years and above with everybody that's in there now, unless they're a brand new hire. But one of my people, Kristen, who we'll get double CC'd on emails, and just within the last couple years, I don't even respond. And she's like, thank you for not responding. I've got it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't get yelled at anymore by doing things that I shouldn't be doing, because again, that just by doing that, it just shows lack of confidence in their ability to take care of something that is on their plate.
Cool.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, we are about a month out from our Arizona Good Business Summit, which you've spoken at before. Are you coming this year?
Yeah. When is it?
April 16th.
Yeah,
You're going to be there. Delo's going to be there. Hope you're going to be there for everybody listening. Karen, our host, is going to be there. We're so excited. We've got a great keynote speaker coming out this year, Anand Girdhadas, which I've practiced so many times because I've got to introduce this guy. But world-renowned author and speaker. Everyone's going to love him. We have tickets available now if anybody wants to come. Just come network, build relationships. I mean, this is a group of people like DeLo here that want to do good in the world and run their businesses with ethics and a good mind. So it's a place for you if you're looking to connect with more people like that. And we want to thank Barr Restaurant Insurance and David DeLorenzo and Healing Hospitality for being a great partner of Local First Arizona. So Dave, anything you want to leave our listeners with today?
Yeah, I think if you're listening to this, obviously you're already dialed into localism, what local means, what it does. You know, we don't need to kiss each other's butt, you know, the whole time, but I will kiss your butt a little bit here. When you look at Devour, you look at Fall Festival, you look at the business, you know, what do you guys call it?
Good Business Summit.
Yeah, Business Summit. You look at all these amazing things that I've been a part of year after year. Arizona is very special in that context. You know, it's very special, and it's very lucky to have, you know, Kimber and you and your whole team, because you don't see this a lot in many other places where, again, it's about community, where community comes together. And it doesn't mean that people have to always be in each other's business, but knowing that like tonight we have a mixer in my hood, you know.
Right.
So albeit I don't go to every mixer, this and that, I just, you know, I'm old, I like to go to bed at 8, you know, and do those sorts of things. But if it makes sense, it's such a great atmosphere and a great place to be with other great like-minded people to hear about Arizona and hear about the things that they do. And I am so not corporate, it's not funny. And there's nothing against that. Again, there's a time and place. Corporations, you know, the big ones have built some great economies of scale and stuff like that. But there's just something to, I laugh because when I look at Kimber, it has it like the indie rock band, you know, of bands.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's just rocking and rolling, you know, with some great style and great music and great people. So yeah, so thanks for having me on.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. Well, we hope everybody listening today is inspired, listening to a leader in the community, working to leave a legacy in Arizona through doing great business. I want to thank our sponsor, Phoenix Business Radio X. And I want to pause and just say there's so much that goes into putting this show on, the production, the just infrastructure of this whole space. So Karen, Phoenix Business Radio X, thank you so much for always hosting us and everyone that you bring into the studio, and all of our legacy partners at Local First Arizona as well, including Barr Restaurant Insurance. This is Thomas from Local First, reminding you that if we want to build a better Arizona, we need to connect deeply with the local businesses that make us proud to call this place our home.
Thank you for listening to Arizona Good Business Radio with Local First Arizona, where entrepreneurs and local businesses come together to build stronger communities. We hope your business is inspired to take part in building a better Arizona.